PBS Rewind is made possible by contributions from YouTube viewers like you. Thank you.
In 1976, Mark Brown came up with a brilliant bedtime story about a little aardvark who wanted to change his nose because his friend teased him. Later that year, the story Arthur's Nose was developed, and Mark sold the idea to Little Brown and Company, who would publish all 27 books in the Arthur Adventure series. Over the years, as Mark was developing the book series, he used real-life people and experiences to bring the world of Arthur to life. For example, Mr. Ratburn was based off of Brown's 7th grade algebra teacher, Mr. Rathbun, and Mrs. Bryan was based on his art teacher at McDowell High School, who introduced him to watercolor. But by far the most notorious character in the Arthur series was Arthur's little sister, D.W., who Mark based off of his little sister, Kim. Many cast members and crew have stated that Kim acted just like D.W. when they finally got to meet her. Kim would often tour to help promote her brother's new Arthur Adventure books. By 1996, it was estimated that 10 million Arthur Adventure books were sold. Around the fall of 1993, Carol Greenwald, the director of production for children's education at Boston's WGBH station, was assigned to find a children's book that was perfectly suited to be made into a television series. In an interview on WGBH's Lunch Hour Live, Greenwald said that she went to her local library, the Medford Public Library in Massachusetts, and asked the librarian for her recommendations on a children's book series that could be made into a TV show. The librarian suggested that she check out the Arthur Adventure series, as many of Mark Brown's library book readings would be full of kids gathered around, attentively listening to the stories. When Mark received the phone call from Greenwald, he eagerly agreed. In a New York Times article, Brown expressed that many other networks had been interested in turning Arthur into a TV show, but he, quote, couldn't imagine him there on the tube with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, end quote. Mark was very disappointed in the direction that children's television was headed in the late 80s and 90s, but now with his offer from WGBH to create an educational show for kids, he knew this was his time to make a difference in educational television. Cinar, an animation group from Montreal, Quebec, was chosen to make the first season of Arthur. They had already made a big name for themselves in children's animation, as they produced shows such as Are You Afraid of the Dark?, The Busy World of Richard Scarry, and many of the Madeline TV specials. In order to bring the first season of Arthur to television, 266 people were hired, and the animators needed to create 18,000 animation cells for each episode. The total budget for the 30-episode season was a whopping $12 million, which was unheard of for a children's show at the time. Luckily, the show received grants from major organizations and foundations, such as the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Arthur Vining Davis Foundation, the National Endowment for Children's Educational Television, and Libby's Juicy Juice, with Cinar, PBS, and WGBH also chipping in. Finally, on October 7th, 1996, the friendly little aardvark made his television debut.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day.
Hey! Hey, DW! Hey! Whoa!
The first episode, Arthur's Eyes, tells the story of when Arthur first got his glasses and the negative ways in which his friends reacted towards him. The episode was based on the second Arthur book of the same name. The series Arthur would be a pioneer in the field of children's media, and even in its first season, Arthur tackles issues such as death, age, relationships, and other social problems. Arthur was also the first daily program to provide visual descriptive audio for the visually impaired. With the series being released into the world, the Arthur team was unsure about how the country's children would react, but sure enough, everyone loved the Arthur crew. The first season was an instant success, with an average of 9 million weekly viewers, 1,500 weekly website emails, and lots of children who would grow to love reading. The book series also saw a dramatic 300% increase in sales as well. Before the show, Arthur had only sold 10 million copies, but by the beginning of 1997, Nearly 2 million books were being sold each month. When the Washington Post asked Brown what his secret was for connecting the show to many kids' lives so quickly, he said, quote, "Truth. Arthur approaches problems in a way children can relate to, with no magical powers and no secret weapons. And children know when you're not being truthful." End quote. Due to the colossal success of the first season, Arthur was scheduled to debut in 96 other countries in which it had not yet aired. Less than 1 year after the premiere of Arthur, the New York Times reported that Arthur surpassed Barney in ratings as the top children's show on PBS by a lot. Unfortunately, Arthur was too expensive to cover the entire production cost of the first season and fell $2 million short in revenue to pay off its first season. Reluctantly, Brown, Greenwald, and the rest of the Arthur team had to turn to licensing Arthur products and merchandise. Now, everyone wanted Arthur, and Arthur's marketing director for Random House, Randy Machado, said, quote, "The popularity is just amazing. They want more and more and more." End quote. Arthur was now being marketed on t-shirts, pajamas, baseball caps, pencil cases, and plastic figurines. You name it, it was Arthur. Quote, "We knew we had the potential to launch it as a merchandising thing, and in the current climate for funding public television, that is critical," end quote, said Carol Greenwald, the show's executive producer. Quote, "I can't afford to do the show without it," end quote. After the merchandise releases, Arthur had evidently become more popular than the classic book Curious George. Arthur did receive some backlash from children's educators due to them becoming mainstream by merchandising products and could pull PBS to become akin to standard network television. However, PBS defended their marketing strategy, citing how they limited the number of businesses partnered with them to 22 and rejected over 100 other businesses that were interested, including fast food chains and other big-name businesses. With their marketing plan, Arthur intended to pull in $50 million in sales in 1998. On Monday, October 20th, 1997 at 5 p.m., Season 2 premiered with the classic episode Arthur Meets Mr. Rogers. This would be one of the greatest crossovers in the history of television. To celebrate and further promote the second season of Arthur, the PBS team flew a balloon in the 1997 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Arthur stood 60 feet high, 52 feet long, 32 feet wide, and filled with 9,800 cubic feet of helium. His glasses were 12 feet wide. The balloon would fly in every Thanksgiving Day parade until 2001 and would appear again in 2003. During the second half of Season 2, Buster leaves the show to travel the world with his father, who is divorced from his mother. Not only is this a major plot point for Arthur, as he must deal with the absence of his best friend, it also sets up the background for the spin-off series called Postcards from Buster, several years later. Buster returns from his trip in the two-part episode premiere of Season 3, Buster's Back and The Ballad of Buster Baxter, which premiered on November 16, 1998. The premiere guest stars Art Garfunkel, who lends his voice and likeness to the guitar-strumming moose who sings The Ballad of Buster Baxter. Along with the release of Season 3 came the release of Arthur's very first musical album, Arthur's Almost Real Not Live CD, and 4 of the album's tracks had music videos for them. Featured in the classic episode Arthur's Almost Live Not Real Music Festival. Who could forget the classic, "Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card," or "Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Hyde, Jekyll." Season 3 was also the first season to have 2 12-minute episodes in which the stories were intertwined, which would later turn into 30-minute episodes later in the series. These include classics such as The Chips Are Down and Revenge of the Chip, and Binky Rules and Meet Binky, the latter featuring the Finnish band called Vertina. Season 4 premiered on October 4th, 1999 with the infamous episode Arthur's Big Hit, during which Arthur is shown clenching his fist. This scene would become a viral internet meme, which is also accompanied by captions describing various infuriating or frustrating moments. Another memorable episode is The Contest, in which Arthur and his friends think about entering a contest to write story ideas for their favorite TV show. The episode features parodies of South Park, Beavis and Butthead, and Dexter's Laboratory. The idea for this episode was by Holly Holland. She won TV Guide's Create Your Own Arthur episode contest in 1998. Her entry was one of over 10,000 submitted story ideas. 5 other entries, while not winning ones, were included in the episode as the stories that Arthur and his friends sent into the Andy and Company contest. Last but not least in this season, world-renowned cellist Yo-Yo Ma and jazz saxophonist Joshua Redman appeared in My Music Rules. The two of them play an arrangement of the Crazy Bus song at the Library Activities Day to show that it is possible to like many different kinds of music at the same time. At the turn of the century, Arthur was at its peak. The Associated Press listed Arthur as one of the top 10 shows of the 90s, and Arthur was the only children's show on that list. It would also be awarded a George Foster Peabody Award in 2001 and win back-to-back Daytime Emmys for Most Outstanding Children's Program in 1998 and 99. A touring stage show called Arthur, A Live Adventure, toured in 1999 and ended sometime in 2001. It was a retelling of the Season 2 episode Arthur's Lucky Pencil, with a set list of songs added in. Into the New Millennium, Season 5 premiered on September 25th in the year 2000 with the episode Arthur and the Big Riddle, guest starring the late great Alex Trebek as the character Alex Lebeck, who hosts a show called Riddle Quest, a parody of Jeopardy! Another memorable episode is You Are Arthur, in which the episode is shown from Arthur's point of view in a first-person perspective. Mr. Ratburn's class also dives into the topic of elections in the episode aptly called The Election. The class holds a hotly contested mock election in which Muffy and Arthur run against each other, but Binky goes on to win after mounting a last-minute write-in campaign. The hour-long special, Arthur's Perfect Christmas, premiered on November 23, 2000, and served as the finale to the season. We are introduced to several of the characters' holiday traditions, including the Frensky celebrating Hanukkah, George's family celebrating the Swedish holiday Santa Lucia Day, and the Brains family celebrating Kwanzaa. For Season 6, the color palettes for the characters are given brighter touches and better colors, for the premiere on September 24th, 2001. Kate and Pal are seen speaking for the first time in the episode The Secret Life of Dogs and Babies, in which Kate and Pal can understand each other, but older people, like the rest of the Reed family, cannot. Olympic figure skater Michelle Kwan guest starred on the episode The Good Sport as herself. The Reed family also gets new next-door neighbors in the episode Arthur and Los Vecinos. The Molina family arrives in Elwood City from Ecuador via Youngstown, Ohio, and Arthur and DW quickly bond with the children, 13-year-old Alberto and 3-year-old Visita. Mr. Reed and Mr. Molina also bond over their passion for cooking. The season tackles the subject of dyslexia in the episode The Boy with His Head in the Clouds, in which George has dyslexia and does not want anyone to see him as different. He asks Binky to be his mentor to teach him to be more hard-headed so no one will tease him, but he realizes he was trying to be someone he was not. Mr. Ratburn helps him figure out how to cope with his dyslexia, and George's confidence improves. The special Arthur It's Only Rock and Roll served as the premiere of Season 7, guest starring the Backstreet Boys as themselves, and premiered on October 8th, 2002. Elwood City celebrates its centennial in this season, and the kids at Lakewood Elementary are tasked with putting on a musical to celebrate the town's history in Elwood City Turns 100. The late Larry King makes a special appearance in between the two halves of the episode. Despite multiple challenges before and during the performance, the crew pulls through and puts on a memorable show. The episode April 9th served as the season finale, and it was made as a response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. What began as a normal spring morning turns into a life-changing day for everyone as faulty wiring causes a fire in the school. Arthur's dad was catering an event in the building and was caught up in the fire. Sue Ellen's journal, which contained priceless mementos from her travels, is badly burned, and Binky is traumatized from seeing the flames and smoke up close. Buster is late to school and has guilt about not being there, but winds up befriending Mr. Morris, the school custodian who suffered a broken leg during the fire. The episode shows how everyone copes with the grief from the fire in different ways, and shows that it's okay to not be okay when a traumatic event occurs. TV Guide ranked Arthur as number 26 on its list of the 50 greatest cartoon characters of all time in its August 3rd, 2002 issue. Season 8 premiered on September 15th, 2003. A memorable episode is Postcards from Buster, This episode continues the story of Buster's travels with his dad and was written as a pilot to the spin-off series of the same name, which was released the following year. In this episode, Arthur's family travels to New York City with Buster and his dad, and they explore places such as Chinatown, El Barrio, also known as Spanish Harlem, and The Point. It is a change of pace from the traditional Arthur episodes, as Buster uses his video camera to document his travels. World-renowned blues musicians Coco Taylor and Taj Mahal guest star in the episode Bighorn's George. The Brain introduces George to blues music with the help of Coco Taylor. While George is first quite shy, he writes an original song, builds his own guitar, and plays the song for Coco and Taj Mahal, with their full-hearted approval. The season finale is Bleep, one of the most controversial episodes of the series.
DW, are you listening to me?
Carol Greenwald says that this episode received the most mailed-in negative feedback from parents. While it is controversial, especially with the use of a bleep noise to censor the bad word in the episode, the moral of the story is to teach children that certain words can be offensive to others, and that it's best not to use words you don't know. Season 9 premiered on September 27, 2004 with the episode Castles in the Sky, guest starring architect Frank Gehry. The treehouse collapses under the weight of snow on the roof. After meeting Gehry at the Sugar Bowl by chance, Arthur and his friends come up with different ideas to build a new one. The only design they agree on is the original, which they rebuilt. 2 weeks later, on October 11, 2004, Postcards from Buster premiered. The series sees Buster travel all over the world and meet people from different cultures. Season 10 premiered on May 15, 2006 with the episode Happy Anniversary. It is Arthur's parents' 10th anniversary and they are going to a fancy French restaurant for a special dinner. But Arthur needs to go to Buster's house for a sleepover, write a report about perspective, and watch the Bionic Bunny 10th anniversary special. W needs to look for something made of tin to give to her parents as a gift. All goes wrong when Grandpa Dave needs to go to the fireman's ball, and the car breaks down along the way. The family ends up at a diner, where they come to understand that spending time together is the most valuable celebration of all. As an Easter egg, each episode in this season has the number 10 hidden somewhere. Arthur tackles the issue of pediatric surgery and Operation DW. DW is revealed to have suffered from ear infections, and she needs an operation to drain fluids from her ears. The episode shows her going through the entire process, including the pre-op appointment, being put under general anesthesia, and of course, the totally normal and valid anxiety that leads up to a big procedure. Last but not least, we have a guest appearance in this season from then Boston Red Sox baseball players Johnny Damon, Mike Timlin, and Edgar Renteria, who star as Playman, Winlin, and Batteria on the Elwood City Grebes in Curse of the Grebes. The episode is a parody of The Curse of the Bambino, which saw the Red Sox go 86 years without winning the World Series until they defeated the St. Louis Cardinals to win it all in 2004, 2 years before the airing of this episode. The later seasons of Arthur also spawned some classic episodes such as Is That Kosher?, featuring the renowned talent Joan Rivers, who voices Francine's grandmother, known as Bubba, who visits as the Frenskys observe the Jewish holiday Yom Kippur. Award-winning actor Matt Damon guest stars as himself in the episode The Making of Arthur, in which Arthur and his friends are trying to make their own home videos, hoping to get on a show called Postcards from You. Matt shows up to Arthur's house and tells him he didn't win the contest. However, he wants to make an entire show about Arthur and his friends. The Arthur crew tackled adoption in this series as Binky and his family go to China to adopt Mei Lin. Binky experiences a wide range of emotions around the adoption, from anticipation to apprehension. Ultimately, the Barneses and Reeds bond over the experience, and Mei Lin and Kate become good friends. In season 13, Arthur would release the episode When Carl Met George, which focused on the newfound friendship between George and a child with Asperger syndrome named Carl, making Arthur one of the first children's shows to feature an autistic character. In the same season, the Arthur crew would tackle yet another important issue, and that is a loved one's cancer diagnosis. The Great McGrady featured the Lakewood Elementary lunch lady, Leah McGrady, and her battle with cancer, as well as showing how different people reacted to her diagnosis. The episode also originally featured the cyclist Lance Armstrong, but this episode was pulled from the air until an updated version was made in 2021 with Armstrong removed. In 2012, Arthur moved away from the traditional hand-drawn animation and switched to flash editing. While there are extremely mixed reviews from hardcore Arthur fans as to whether they like this or not, it has spawned a number of great episodes and viral moments. In the very first episode, called Based on a True Story, we are introduced to two new characters, LaDonna and Bud, who are from the South and are forced to move a lot due to being in a military family. In this era, we also see the tough customers change their image into, quote, a preteen's dream, in the highly memorable episode, The Last Tough Customer. Also, who could forget the Arthur headphones meme from Binky's Music Madness? In seasons 21 and 22, Arthur took a dive yet again into some serious issues that were grasping the nation at the time. In Arthur Takes a Stand, the late U.S. Representative John Lewis visited Elwood City and taught Arthur and the gang to stand up to their school and fight in support of equal pay for Mrs. McGrady. In Sue Ellen in the Last Page, Sue Ellen made a highly influential speech in front of the city council to save the library, and Muffy and the gang stood up for eco-conscious initiatives and animal conservation in Muffy's car campaign and Muffy's house guests. The final episode we are going to talk about is also from season 22, and upon release was talked about on nearly every mainstream television network. This is Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone. The Arthur writers let their pure genius shine in this episode as they created an episode about same-sex marriage between Mr. Ratburn and his husband, Patrick. Critics praised the episode, as the big production was not made about gay marriage and was subtly hinted in the episode. This completed Mark Brown's wish of including a character in the LGBTQ+ community in one of his shows. He tried to accomplish this in the 2005 Postcards from Buster episode called Sugar Time, but this was banned from all PBS station networks. On June 22nd, 2021, Jason Szwimer, one of the voice actors who voiced DW, launched a podcast called Finding DW. The goal and reason of the podcast is to find and interview the 7 voice actors who played DW. On July 13th, 2001, he released the 3rd episode, where he got the chance to interview Kathy Waugh, one of the writers on Arthur. Him asking Kathy a question led to some heartbreaking news.
I've always wondered what it would be like to talk to the kid who is currently playing the part of DW. When I brought that up to Kathy to talk about her current involvement with the production of Arthur, I learned some crushing news.
Well, Arthur is no longer in production. We had our wrap party 2 years ago.
I'm sorry, DW, but that's what happens to all TV shows eventually. They get canceled.
You mean it'll never be on again?
What?
Yes.
But okay, hang on. Sorry, the reason why I'm surprised is because one of the first things I did was look up, is there a kid who's still playing DW? And there was a kid recently cast. I'm so surprised to hear this. This is devastating.
The series, and I think they've made a mistake, and PBS, and I think, I think Arthur should come back. And I know I'm not alone in thinking they made a mistake. I don't know. I don't pay attention that much to things like ratings. So I don't know if it was a ratings issue or if it just felt like it needed to be retired. So to me, it just felt like a evergreen, like it was never going to end, but it did end. We finished the last episode, season 25. 2 years ago, there was a wrap party, all of that.
2 weeks later, in a statement to Entertainment Weekly, Carol Greenwald confirmed the news and celebrated the show's legacy. Quote, Arthur is the longest-running animated kids series in history and is known for teaching kindness, empathy, and inclusion through many groundbreaking moments to generations of viewers. In the winter of 2022, the 25th and final season of Arthur will debut. Arthur will continue to be available on PBS Kids for years to come. Producers WGBH and PBS Kids are continuing to work together on new Arthur content, sharing the lessons of Arthur and his friends in new ways." End quote. Arthur has been a monumental television and book series that has touched and connected with children and adults since its creation in 1976. Today we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the television series and the legacy of the series. Although the final season of Arthur will premiere this winter, The Arthur Show will air and connect with children for years to come. Thank you for watching PBS Rewind.
It's a simple message, and it comes from the heart. Oh, believe in yourself, for that's the place to start. And I say, believe in yourself.